Hey guys, Greg Alexander here with Alexander the Greg Fishing. I wanted to put some videos together for you guys on a regular basis and talk about my take on different conditions. I mean, you can look on Facebook and see a little bit of everything, but everybody's got something to teach and everybody's got something to learn. Everybody's got a little trick here, a little trick there. So the first video I want to put out is on winter jerkbait fishing. I got a little bit of footage connected to this video, kind of showing you guys exactly like my cadence and different things like that. So winter jerkbait fishing is starting to become one of my favorite ways to catch bass in the wintertime. The conditions that you need for winter jerkbait fishing: clear water, that's key in the wintertime, not just for jerkbait fishing, but in general. You want the clear water when it's cold. Try to find the clearest water you can find. Generally in the middle of winter, for me, in the area I fish, mostly the mid-Atlantic area, you really want to get that clear water. The best conditions for jerkbait fishing: windy, not extremely windy, but windy with a chop, more sun than not. Especially after a couple of cold, cloudy days. What that does is it gets the fish off of the bottom and gets them up and suspended around different things. A rock, if you've got rocks in your area, the end of a tree, the outside of a dock, an old fallen down bulkhead, things like that. It gets them suspended up around there. Or if there's no current, they'll just suspend off the edge of a hard drop off. That's another key in the wintertime, especially for jerkbait fishing, is you want to find areas that have maybe a little flat section, but then a very quick drop off, The tapering stuff, not so good. I mean, you can catch a fish anywhere at any time, but your best chances of catching groups of fish are going to be somewhere with a little bit of flat with some structure on it, stumps or whatnot, rocks, whatever, and then a real sharp drop, because fish like to drop down when things get bad and get up on the flat when things are good for several days, and then when they go neutral, they'll just suspend up off the corner of that drop off. So everybody talks about jerkbait fishing in the wintertime, that the cadence is so important, and I don't believe that the cadence is super important. I think what the cadence really does, and when I talk about cadence, I'm talking about you jerk it twice, wait, jerk it once, wait, 3 times, twice, once, twice, 3 times, once, twice, you know, all this cadence. And I don't think that the fish really care if the bait jumped 3 times or twice. I don't think that's the thing. I think that what the cadence does is it allows the bait to get deeper or shallower. If you're jerking on it, it'll get to a certain depth and it won't go down anymore. But if you're using a suspending jerkbait, which many of the suspending jerkbaits today don't just suspend, they actually sink, and I think that's a little bit better actually. When you slow that cadence down and put a longer pause between the cadence, I think the pause is the key. The longer pause between the cadence, it does 2 things. It allows the bait to sink, if it's a sinking type suspending jerkbait, and get closer to the fish. And it also allows fish, when the water's extremely cold or colder, or they've gone to the bottom, it gives them time to come up to the bait and get it before it's gone, because they're not going to chase it down in the wintertime. It's just not going to do it. So the pause is, in my opinion, much more important than the cadence. Now, a more active bait is obviously a little bit more enticing than a less active bait in cold water for a fish. So the cadence is somewhat, but it's not so much the cadence as the speed of the bait jerking back and forth. And I control that differently than some people. In the summertime, if I'm fishing for smallmouth or largemouth with a jerkbait, I'm using a regular floating jerkbait most of the time, and I'm moving it quick, really quick. And I also throw the summertime jerkbait Now in the summertime when I'm throwing a jerkbait, I'm throwing on a much heavier rod, like a medium heavy, the same thing as I would flip or pitch a bait with, and like 16-pound fluorocarbon. And what you get with that stiffer rod is you get a lot more action. When you jerk on it, that stiff rod makes the bait move a lot more. Now when you are throwing a jerkbait, wintertime, summertime, whenever, you want to make sure when you jerk the bait that you don't just jerk and hold. You want to throw your rod back at the bait, and that creates the slack in your line that'll get the bait to boom and boom like that. If you just kind of jerk and hold it, you're not going to get the action. So you want to kind of throw your rod back at the line with each jerk. So in the wintertime, which is what we're really talking about right now, I like to throw a crankbait rod, like a medium parabolic action crankbait rod, something like this St. Croix cranking rod here that I have. And the reel is not super important, the speed of the reel. This is a 6.2 to 1. The speed's not that important because you're controlling the speed of the crank or the jerk bait with the rod. 8-pound test fluorocarbon. 8-pound test fluorocarbon in the wintertime. 10-pound is alright too, unless you're really trying to get the bait really, a little bit more shallow than the 8-pound drag and everything. A good reel, you're not going to have any problems as long as you keep an eye on your line, drag set right and everything. So let's talk about types of baits. Suspending jerkbait, best in the wintertime. This particular one, this is a Spro mixed stick. And you got to check them all, because you'll get one that's suspending and you'll drop it in the water next to the boat on your rod and it'll come floating up. That's what this one did. So what I do with this one, I put a bigger number 4 hook on the front, so then this bait will nose down, which is good, and tends to sink very slowly like a dying minnow. And a good thing I like about this mixed stick and the Vision 110 also, they're weighted about the same. The Vision 110 has a little bit different rattle sound to it. But this one, when you jerk it, it goes like this, and then sometimes it flips upside down and starts to sink like that. And I think that really tends to trigger bites when it does that. So this one, check them out of the box and make sure that they are suspending or slightly sinking, excuse me. Then I said, like, you got the Vision 110s, which come in a lot of different things, and they're all different. See, this has like 1 big rattle and 3 little tiny ball bearing rattles in it. It's different than the mixed stick, which has two big rattles in it, and then 1 smaller rattle in the back and a different kind of chamber, so the weights transfer differently. And then when you need to get a little bit deeper quicker, like where you're casting to, you can't really cast past it too far. So you got to kind of cast right to it, but you need to get it down quick. Deeper diving. And what that does is that lets it get down real fast to the strike zone. This is a Stacy. And then you have the old reliable Rogue, Smithwick Rogue, probably the fish catchingest jerkbait of all time. This is a suspending model. They make them in floaters also. Again, you got to check them all to see if they're actually suspending or if they're sinking. So in the video that I have attached to this, catching a few fish, you'll kind of see on one section of it, I'm kind of lining up on an old underwater bulkhead, which is really kind of a sharp drop. In a couple of the other catches, one was around some deep pilings and the other one was around the end of an old, I guess an old wreck or something that was down on the edge of the channel, and he was out off the end of it. But that's the type of thing they like to do in the wintertime. So I hope that this video helps you to catch more bass in the wintertime. And if you like my content and you think it's something you want to listen to on a regular basis, then hit that subscribe button and I'll do my best to bring regular video tutorials and techniques to you guys. Thank you. I can't get to these fish because I really have a hard time myself pausing for 20 and 30 seconds to wait for that bait to sink enough to get down to where the fish are. A couple of nice ones that I've caught so far, you know, they were probably suspended a little bit higher in the water column next to an old piling or something, and I was able to get it close enough to them for them to bite. And that bite may be a little bit better as the day goes on, because we've just had the two coldest nights of the year so far here in like the low 20s. So these fish are probably, you know, pretty lethargic this morning. But that sun's out, so they're gonna start feeling that. When they start feeling that, they'll move up a little bit shallower onto some of the shallower edges and drops and stuff. And I'll probably go back to the other jerkbait net, but I'm gonna try this one for now. Little one. Maybe 1 3/4 pounds.